All right, so we've got another Maison Alhambra fragrance here today, and this is actually another one of their interpretations of a Louis Vuitton fragrance. This is their interpretation of Louis Vuitton's Pacific Chill, and this is Jean Lowe Vibe. So I went ahead and picked this fragrance up. Was definitely kind of curious to see, how good of a job they could do on Pacific Chill. Pacific Chill is definitely, that's one of my, more favorite, you could say, Louis Vuitton fragrances. I think for me, definitely Imagination would be kind of at the top. Then I think after that, it would be Le Monserrat, probably Pacific Chill after that, and then Meteore after that. And that's just in the regular line. Obviously in the X-Straight collection, Symphony is definitely my favorite out of that. But here we have Jean Lowe Vibe. You can see the name of the fragrance here on the front, Maison Alhambra logo. This is a 100 ml eau de parfum concentration. Got this nice little like beach-like design here that kind of goes around the entire box. Maison Alhambra logo up top. Authenticity sticker and ingredients on the back. And then you have like the production date, barcode, stuff like that on the bottom. This particular bottle, this was produced in January of this year. Okay. And then this opens up very kind of similar to how, Louis Vuitton bottles do. So you have the box that it kind of sits in, and then the actual bottle sits in like a little cylinder like that. So basically it's the same kind of presentation that you get with like Jean Lowe Immortal. You get the magnetic cap as well. Definitely not strong enough for you to really be picking the bottle up by it, but it is like a nice touch. And the sprayer is decent, but it's not like pressurized or anything like that. All right. So for the notes of Jean Lowe Vibe, as well as the notes for Pacific Chill, it looks like they're exactly the same. It looks like they're just in like a different order. So basically for Pacific Chill, you get in the top notes citron, orange, mint, lemon, blackcurrant, and coriander. And then in the mid, you get apricot, basil, carrot seeds, and may rose. And then in the base, you get fig, dates, and ambrette. It looks like, it's the exact same note breakdown for Jean Lowe Vibe, except the notes are just like in slightly different orders, but each note that is in either the top, mid, or the base, they are in the same place basically in the Jean Lowe Vibe. So I'll have the notes kind of on screen for both of them, but again, they are the exact same notes. Now, when I sprayed this on, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty good. Obviously the last, I want to say Pacific Chill, interpretation that I smelled would have been French Avenue's Pinus White, I think. And also, I think around that same time, I also had picked up, it was like the Luciano, I think it's like Pacific Coast or something like that, or Coastal Breeze. I think that's what it was Coastal Breeze. And definitely the French Avenue, it to me smelled like totally different than what Pacific Chill did. Now, I don't know if that's just a situation where I needed to let that bottle sit for a few months or something like that, but it smelled the least like Pacific Chill out of any other Pacific Chill interpretation that I had smelled. Even less so than, like the Luciano. Now, the Luciano was decent, But the thing with Luciano fragrances that I've noticed, and I mean, I've noticed it with, that Pacific Chill interpretation from them, but more so kind of from like their Parfums de Marly interpretations. They have like this note in the background of some of them that's really kind of off-putting to me. I normally can smell it on both skin and on paper, and it just kind of throws me off. With this, I don't get that at all. This actually comes pretty close, in my opinion, to the original Louis Vuitton. Now, what I'll say is absolutely this lacks the depth and the complexity of the Louis Vuitton from, from the initial spray to the mid to the dry down. From, for the entire journey of the fragrance, I can absolutely say that this does not have the same complexity, quality, same depth as what the Louis Vuitton does. So, if you're looking for that same level of quality, that same sort of depth, the same complexity, I'm afraid the only way that you'll really be able to get that is you're going to have to buy the original from Louis Vuitton, which I think is what I'll probably end up doing, because I haven't so far smelled anything that has come exactly the same. Like I've smelled obviously some really good interpretations of Imagination. I have what I consider to be almost identical, to L'Immensité in, Einash's L'Infinite. With this fragrance though, I haven't really smelled anything that has come exactly the same, as what you get with Pacific Chill. But what I will say is what I paid for this fragrance and how close it does come to Pacific Chill, I think is definitely really impressive. So when you initially spray this on, definitely I would say the mint and the black currant and like the other sort of citruses, they just come off as smelling richer smelling in the Louis Vuitton. But in the initial opening, I would say this is probably about 85% close or so to, Louis Vuitton's Pacific Chill. Now, I do prefer the smell of something like, Alexandria Fragrances Pacific Coast, I believe is what it's called. That one to me, at least in the opening, it also is not like exactly the same as Pacific Chill. Especially if we're talking about like the first couple of minutes, the Alexandria to me smells a lot more kind of citrus heavy, as opposed to, like the apricot, the mint, and like the black currant. But I would say after like maybe a couple of minutes, the Alexandria does smell a little bit closer to the Louis Vuitton than what this does. So the Alexandria Pacific Coast to me has a little bit of a one up on Jean Lowe, vibe, the Alexandria has a little bit more of a one up on Jean Lowe Vibe compared to Pacific Chill. But to me, where Jean Lowe Vibe actually, kind of regains that position is once you start getting into like the dry down. To me, Jean Lowe Vibe actually lasts longer on my skin than what the Alexandria Pacific Coast does. And it also, to me, just overall kind of smells a little bit better. Again, once you kind of get to, like that dry down of the fragrance. So you kind of have to pick, I think, what you really, really want and what you really like out of the fragrances if you're going to be, considering like a interpretation of them. Again, this doesn't do as good in the initial opening, but to me, it lasts, pretty well. And it does do a pretty good job in like the mid and the dry down. I really feel like the apricot in this, it is done pretty good. You know, obviously, again, it's not going to be as good as the Louis Vuitton, but I feel like the apricot in this is actually done better than what it's, you know, done like in like the Luciano and also the Louis Vuitton once you kind of get hours into the fragrance anyway. I really feel like this does a pretty good job. You know, again, it definitely does lack some complexity, some depth. And then the Louis Vuitton, from what I could tell, it did last a little bit longer than what Jean Lowe Vibe did. All right. But overall, man, I'm pretty impressed with the way that this smells. This particular bottle, I was able to pick up from, I believe I got this one from Banadier, I think. Was it Banadier or was it Oud Store? I can't remember. I think it might have been Banadier though. It was one of those stores, and I believe it was only like $27 or so. I believe I got it from Banadier for like $27. Really impressive, man. Really impressive. If I didn't get it from Banadier, then it was the Oud Store. It was one of those two. I'll have a link in the description from, you know, the store that I bought it from. But I know I paid like, I want to say less than $30 for it, for this 100 ml bottle. And this so far, I would say, has been my most enjoyable interpretation of it. You know, I mean, again, the Alexandria does have parts, at least in the beginning, that seem to be a little bit closer and better, you know, than what the Jean Lowe Vibe does. But I feel like overall, as just a scent overall, this is the better buy over the Alexandria version, and definitely over the French Avenue and the Luciano version, at least from what I've smelled so far. I'm debating on whether or not I'm gonna get Pinus White again to kind of, you know, do another comparison with, because I sold that bottle like, you know, shortly after I got it. I don't know, man. I just feel like, from what I remembered out of the French Avenue, it didn't come anywhere near as close as what the Jean Lowe Vibe is coming to, you know, the original fragrance. So possibly I might try that one again. I'm not sure. But so far, like I said, this is very good, man. Now for the performance on this is also, again, very good. As far as the projection goes, it wasn't, to me, as good as the Louis Vuitton. It was pretty average for the most part. So, I mean, you're going to get, at least on me anyway, I got a little bit less than like a arm's length or so of projection. But it did really provide a really nice sort of scent bubble around me for probably at least like the first hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And then after that, it definitely does get, you know, closer to the skin. And then for like the overall longevity, this, I would say, easily lasts about 7 hours or so on me, just straight out of the box. So, you know, no sort of maturation or anything like that. This was, you know, pretty long lasting, especially for how fresh and fruity and citrusy, you know, this scent comes across. So definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing how long this lasts when it, you know, really starts to get warm outside. But at least here now, in this sort of, you know, cooler Las Vegas weather that we've had, like I said, I've definitely gotten at least about 7 or so hours out of this fragrance. So really impressed with that, man. And then in terms of like an overall closeness rating on this, I would say, is just overall about 90% close to Louis Vuitton's Pacific Chill. So like I said, it's not as close in the initial opening, but I feel like it starts to get closer as it starts to dry down, for sure. And this is definitely one of the better interpretations of the scent, you know, that I've smelled. In terms of my overall rating on this fragrance, This is a 9 out of 10 for me, man. I really do like this one a lot. Like I said, the Alexandria in some cases or in some parts of the fragrance is a little closer and a little bit more, you know, complex and more higher quality smelling. But again, at least for me, the Alexandria just doesn't last that long on me. And it also, it in the dry down to me doesn't smell as good as what this does. All right. So yeah, man, easily a 9 out of 10 for the overall rating on this fragrance. Definitely let me know in the comments what you all think about Jean Lowe Vibe, man. Let me know if this is you all's favorite interpretation so far of Pacific Chill, and do you all think that this is the closest one, you know, that you all have smelled so far? If not, then definitely let me know what you all think is the closest one, and you know, maybe I'll definitely check that one out. Also, I'll have, again, a link in the description where you can purchase this from. I'll have to look through my email and see exactly where I bought this one from, and wherever I bought it from is the link that I'll have in the description for you to actually pick it up from. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.